Hello and welcome back to the AI Marketers Playbook, where we cover actionable frameworks to help you leverage AI and marketing strategies in your business. I'm Audrey Chia, your host, and today I have with me Pooja Jain, the founder of PowerUp AI. She is an AI trainer and consultant with over 8 years of experience in AI automation, including working with companies like P&G, Henkel, and leading AI startups. Now, Pooja specializes in helping sales and marketing teams implement AI without that tech overwhelm, and she has trained over 150 business leaders on Gen AI, with clients seeing an impressive 1.7 times productivity gains. But you know what's the most interesting part? Pooja has AI now handling over 70% of her business grunt work, letting her focus on high value client work. I am very excited for this chat today. Welcome to the show, Pooja.
Thank you so much, Audrey, for this beautiful introduction. Super happy to be here.
Super exciting for this. I would love to know, how did you get started? I know you started your AI journey quite some time back. Tell us more about that process.
Yes, so actually, I am an engineer, but not like a software engineer. So I am more of a mechanical engineer by background. And when I started off with my career in Procter& and Gamble in 2017, actually, I realized that my work was, a lot more. So it was very mundane. Like I had to deal with a lot of Excel files, with a lot of, data copy pasting and so on. And after doing that for over a year, I realized that if I keep doing that, I am not going to go up in my career because I have no time for strategic thinking. So that's when I started looking out for option. And this is, in 2017 when AI was still not, as omnipresent as it is today. It was still very technical. We had some machine learning platforms, we had process automation. So, despite not having that background, I started going deeper into this and I was able to automate a large part of my work. And that was my start into, AI. So I then led the category adoption for at P&G for this automation process. And this is, we are talking of like the forefathers of current AI agents. After that, I worked for like digital transformation in other companies like Henkel. And also after my MBA at INSEAD, worked for 3 years at a very deep tech startup, AI startup, leading their growth. Also training, corporate companies, enterprise users on AI, on how they can identify users. So
Wow.
that was my story.
Wow, and it's so amazing that you started off from an engineering based role and you were like, there must be a smarter way to do this. And then AI came
That's
into the
what
picture.
engineers do.
I love that. And how has, the AI scene evolved over the past many years? I know we have come a long way, but how has
Yeah.
it been for you with your lens being in the space?
So there has been a massive, massive change in the AI space, because when I started, it was fairly technical. So I had like a very deep learning curve with these tools. I had to learn basic coding. I had to learn how to use these tools. But like in 2022, when ChatGPT came, it became like talking to, I don't know, someone in your team. You just simply type in normal how you casually talk. You can use English, even other languages. So for example, I sometimes use German for it, or even sometimes my native language, and it just gives you the output. So this has been a massive transformation. Like AI is now accessible to everyone. It's democratized. You do not need to know any coding. You do not need any learning curve. You just have to have that curiosity to use.
I love what you said about curiosity, right? I think this is why it's so interesting because now everyone has, or most of us have access to at least some form of AI and we're getting started on this journey. And I think it's very interesting to see how businesses develop, with this AI race, right? Because AI is here to stay. And I think businesses also realize that they have to do something about it. We have the big corporations already moving, but we also have the mid-sized companies also
Yeah.
figuring things out, and the small
Mhm.
companies just testing as we go along. So I know you do a lot of coaching for leadership and senior executives, right?
Yeah.
How has that journey been?
I think there, like it is evolving. It is evolving very fast. So I started off with my company last year, and last year was I saw still a lot of hesitance among leaders, among so they were skeptical about these AI tools. And I think the biggest mental barrier for these leaders is the perceived loss of control. So, for example, many senior leaders they are still skeptical, although a bit less than before. That what if these AI tools make mistake? Then who is going to be responsible for it? And for them, it is still very much a black box. So this has been a very generic kind of leadership notion that I'm seeing in my clientele. Although, when you start educating them, when you gradually start taking them on this journey of how these AI tools think, they are not as black box as they think it is. Although there are some challenges, but it needs education.
I see it. And that's interesting you call that out, right? So that perceived lack of control that I'm sure a lot
Mm.
of business leaders have, right? And I can see why that applies in a lot of industries. And for yourself, what do you tell these business leaders who feel like they don't have that control? What are some like systems or implementations that you have to really make sure that it's a good balance of, AI work but also getting quality output?
So for me, one of the biggest breakthroughs in getting these senior leaders start adopting AI is first the education, like giving them the basics, telling them how it works, because for them it is like this, as I already mentioned, this perceived a position of control. So for that, they have to understand what these systems are, what is the background. So a bit of that, but also showing them the concept of human in the loop, because they often come from the place that if they install an AI tool, then it is working on its own and it can do whatever, it takes over their systems and send out rogue emails. But I think since started introducing this human in the loop,
Yes.
they feel much better. Like they feel okay, they have the power, all, but they have the support of the AI tools, but it is still in their power what they do with it.
Absolutely. I think that human in the loop is something that a lot of people still miss out. So they think that AI does 100% of the work. When sometimes it's like, a partnership, right? It's like co
Yeah,
piloting the outcome together.
it is actually a collaboration. Like love to use that word. Like it's AI collaborated. Not so AI did not do that completely, but it supported me in doing
Yeah,
something.
awesome. And I love that phrase. But I was also wondering, what are some of the other, perhaps bigger misconceptions that business owners might have, besides the fact that they may not have full control? Are there any other common hesitations, even when it comes to perhaps like team structure, human
Hmm.
resource? Are
Yeah.
there, certain considerations that business owners have?
So another misconception that I am seeing, especially among the enterprise clients, is that they could still consider AI is primarily a tech challenge. So whereas it is like an organizational change in reality when you see it. So leaders often think that if they buy these sophisticated AI tools, that will automatically transform their business. They just start using it, put a prompt, and then no, it's a fundamental way of thinking change, that they need to implement in their teams. Also, what a lot of leaders missing right now is data readiness. So because AI systems are as good as the input data that you give them. So for a lot of companies, data is still stored in, 1,000 different Excel files, which are all over the place. And
Yeah.
that is not data readiness. So that's, I think, still a missing bit that a lot of companies are struggling with. But I believe like with a lot more education and awareness, they have started realizing the need of these consolidated data sources, clean data that is like of utmost importance to make these AI systems work.
Yeah, and I think now is probably the best time to get started because it does take time to get these
Yeah.
systems in place, right?
A lot of time. I think data readiness is one of the most time consuming process when you see this entire AI adoption life cycle.
Yeah, and maybe you can walk us through also for a business who that doesn't know, how to start getting started with AI. What is your process like in helping them figure out their gaps and where to implement AI in their own workflows?
So one of the major processes in my training framework is that I encourage leaders to start from their business process rather than thinking about the AI tools or which AI tool is the best, start from your business process. So start from there, start identifying the gaps or start identifying the inefficiencies, and then it comes down to, okay, this is, let's say, in a marketing process, right? So content creation is something which is taking a lot of time for my team. So start from there and then start identifying what is the input data you need. Does it need a team collaboration? Does it need some market research? So that sort of process building. So start incorporating that, and then comes your AI tool. So after, once you're ready with the basics, then you start identifying, okay, which tool is the best or which LLM model is the best. So I think this has helped me considerably in explaining this kind of business transformation impact to the AI leaders or to the leaders, business leaders, basically.
Wow. I think like what you said about using that perspective of process first is an interesting approach. A lot of times people just get overwhelmed by, the 100 new tools or
Yes.
the 100 new features that ChatGPT secretly rolls out and nobody really knows about. And then they're like,
Yes.
what do I do with all that information, right? And then they don't do anything about it. But I love what you said about taking that very actionable approach, right? In terms of figuring out what is your business use case, your process, and then figuring out how to implement it. And I'm curious to see, are there any successful, case studies or stories that you have had with your own clients? Where did they integrate AI and like how has it helped them in their processes?
Yes. So basically, there have been several use cases. I mean, I segregate this AI use cases in two categories. First is augmentation. So, for example, for senior leaders, they personally would like to use or love to use AI for augmenting their work. They are not so interested in automation per se now, but for example, like I am training several board members in Germany on AI usage for personal productivity. And how they use these AI tools is so preparing them for board meetings, helping them, as a personal assistant that can help them create these presentations fast, helping them prepare for talks and so on. And the second aspect of AI that I teach on is for the businesses, for enterprises, that is more automation focused. So, in automation, for example, some of the successful use cases that I implemented are so newsletter creation. So, for example, there is this manufacturing, 100-year-old manufacturing company in Europe, and they are super technical in nature and also very traditional. So, for them, I have this automation workflow build up that takes, for example, input data from different technical sources, technical journals, and combine all of that into a very nicely structured newsletter along with their team expertise. So this
Wow.
kind of automation flow is already helping them, I think, save around 8 to 10 hours per week, which is a significant time saving.
Yeah, and I think like it's very interesting you said firstly like helping, personal leaders figure out their own augmentation using AI and their own workflows, right? Because that is like you learning how to leverage the tool. And in the second instance, you then gave an example of creating a workflow that can
Yeah.
repeatedly create that kind of content. So I like what you mentioned earlier, I think figuring out what is that use case and then working backwards could be interesting. But with the AI hype everywhere, how do you actually, separate the noise from, more high ROI applications? Like, what is your take on that? Because there's so much going on everywhere.
I know. I mean, honestly speaking, it's very difficult even for me to stay aloof or keep out this noise from me because every day or every week there is a new model. There
Update.
is there is something new coming up. So, like I personally prefer to keep myself updated with everything that's happening, be it the new tool, new model. But my main focus is on business process augmentation or business augmentation. So therefore, any new tool, new model that comes up, I always prefer to test it based on real business use cases. And once I see that, okay, this model makes sense and it is safe for businesses to use, and there is actually some sort of either time saving, cost saving, or some sort of, let's say, augmentation that can be achieved, that's how I classify or I start using that business model and also start teaching it to my clients.
Got it. So it's really something that where you see a need and then solve for a problem and you test it out yourself to see like there
Yeah.
is actually value in that instead of just creating for the sake of creating. I think one thing that I have noticed in my own workflows is like what you said, right? Finding out that business use case helps a
Mm-hmm.
lot. So even for me, when I create content, I start to break down my own processes into, okay, to get LinkedIn content every day, what can I do? So I created a GPT that then allows me to read my PDF carousels and quickly write in my tone of voice because that was a pain point that I was facing because I would create, canvas, PDF documents. At the same time, I still had to write the post copy, which took time. So that was a pain point. Then we found the solution, which then, of course, like with the help of AI, life gets a lot easier. I know you also are a big fan of using AI in your own business workflows, right? You said
Yes.
things like content creation and even things like perhaps research. How are you actually using AI in your personal workflows?
So actually, I'm using AI in many different processes in my own business, and for most of the processes, I have either a custom GPT or a custom plot project or like a make automation, sometimes even an AI agent. Some of the use cases that I see are highly relevant. So one thing is that I'm posting regularly on LinkedIn, and as you mentioned, it is time consuming. And the biggest pain point there is how do you make something either an AI tool to write in your voice? So for me, I have created like a custom Claude project, trained it on some of my best performing posts on how I speak, using it, a more personal tone rather this robotic voice. So that is like a super duper time saver for me. And then another one is this market research agent. So for example, as as we already talked, like AI is evolving so fast. And for my business, I have to not only be like on top of all the AI trends, but also on the business trends because I am like working at the intersection of two. So then I have this market research agent that basically, gives me like all the market updates happening in either Europe or the US, like where my majority of my customer reside and helping me gather insights in a very consumable way. So, not like a bulky newsletter, but something that's custom to me. And then another one is this proposal creator. So, one, like when I started my business, I realized creating proposal for every client, it was taking a lot of my time. So then I started automating this process. So for example, I use the transcripts, like the call transcripts that my AI meeting recorder takes. Then I have a custom GPT where there's like I'm using a make automation. So these transcripts get fed into this custom GPT, and then it creates like a proper templated proposal for my business. And that makes my work a lot easier. I mean, of course, it's not 100% ready. I still have to make minor changes, but at least I have the first draft from this automation.
Wow, and it's a brilliant use case, right? It's like case in point, like you're trying to save time and prospecting, pitching, proposals. These
Yes.
are things that take up so much time and it has to be tailored for each client. So at least with your AI and your frameworks of thinking, that would be really interesting. I have a question about your market research agent. So there are so many tools
Mhm.
out there that does research. Are you leveraging any of those tools or did you build your own like workflow or GPT for this? Because that would be an interesting kind of use case for many people.
Yes. So maybe I can show you like a demo on this. So for example, like I have built this customer analyzer, so competitor research agent,
Oh,
sorry,
wow. Yeah,
Competit competitor research agent using Relevance AI. For that, I have to start sharing my screen. Just give me a sec.
that would be amazing. So, for those of you who are tuning in and who can't see the screen, Pooja is about to share his screen on a relevance agent that she has built. Now, relevance is a super powerful tool that a lot of other creators and business owners are currently leveraging to build their own workflows. So, yes, Pooja, over to you.
You see my screen, right?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, so this is actually, I mean, Audrey has already mentioned about Relevance. It's a super platform where you can start building your AI agents in a very non-technical way. So it's all no code. It's like no code platform where also with a lot of inbuilt tools that you can directly start using. So one of my like clients, they were facing a problem with competitor research. I mean, they were taking a lot of time. There was too many team members involved. So all in all, it was very time consuming. Plus, they were also using these external reports for
Yes.
competitor analysis, which is outdated most of the times and very expensive. So then we came up with this solution. What you see on my screen right now is like the interface of Relevance AI. Now, let me give a brief background on how this agent works. So I call it Atlas just to give it a good feel. And as you see, this tool is basically combining four sub-agents. So the sub-agents that I am using in this tool is first, let's say I just have to give it the name of my competitor, right? Then it starts with going to competitor website
Yeah.
and see if there are any product updates. And then it would include that. Then it would also go to Trustpilot and then start summarizing, okay, what the customers are saying about this product, because
Mm.
with this insight, you can already start identifying, okay, here are the gaps, and that's where my product can really fit in. So with this Trustpilot, I also added an additional layer of sentiment analysis. So it's not just that you get a summary of the reviews, you get the hidden sentiment behind it. So are the customers really, looking forward to use these tools, or are they feeling like skeptical and you have a good chance to entry? And then if there has been any latest industry news about this product in the market, so basically just giving you a 360 feedback. And then finally, so this is a demo I built. I mean, I have stopped it here. And finally, like it would prepare a custom report and post it to my Slack channel. So, however, like there is a possibility that, for example, if it's a startup, you can even train and include another AI agent here that can go into Crunchbase and see what has been the latest funding for this startup. So you are aware, okay, they are getting a new round of funding. Or
Wow.
you can like track their LinkedIn activity and see if, let's say, what kind of content are they posting on LinkedIn, or what kind of audience is engaging on LinkedIn. So all in all, it is possible to do a lot with this kind of agent, but for demo purposes, I have restricted it to four. Maybe if we have still some time, I can run it for like a demo company.
Wow, that would be amazing. And it's so powerful that you're stringing together like four different tools into one agent, which then does all the work for you instantly.
Yeah, so how I teach it to my clients is like think of this agent, as a manager agent. So this is the manager with four teammates, all with very specified kind of task and roles and responsibility. And then this manager agent is combining everyone's output and giving you a final output in a report or in a format that you desire. So let's take example of pipe drive. So I would simply say I would like to run. So pipe drive is the CRM specifically for SMEs. And just as a demo, I would say I am for sales CRM. Okay,
Got it.
that's it.
So you're giving your role as well. So you're saying that I'm the founder of an AI powered
Yeah,
sales CRM agent. Got
yeah,
it. So it has more
exactly.
context when looking for information.
Yeah. So the
Got it.
benefit of using agent over an LLM chatbot is here, as you see, I have given it very less information. Although it's a
Yes.
demo, but also in real use cases, I do not have to give it too much of information because the way I have trained this AI agent is it already knows what needs to be done. So it already knows which site to go to, in which format I desire the report, and so on. So it makes
Wow.
my work a lot easier. Now I just run it and I'm keeping my finger crossed, hope it runs.
This is it's AI thing where you're always keeping
Yes.
your fingers crossed and like you got this, you got this. That's what I always do as well.
And I run these agents or I teach these agents live in my workshops. And I am always
Yeah.
like, oh, I hope it keeps working.
I totally get it. Okay, I can see that it's working hard for us right now.
Yes. So as you see, it is already updating me what it has done. So it has run two steps for me. It has got the industry news, it has got the Trustpilot reviews, and now it has also, okay, still working, but it is running like a competitor product update for me.
Wow. Got it. So it's really going through that sequence that you built for it, right?
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
really going through like the different sites, whatever you want it to review and pulling those
yeah,
information for you. Wow, it's
absolutely.
really
And
powerful.
the difference between an automation workflow and this agent is, so in an automation workflow, it goes through the sequence of steps exactly as you define. Whereas
Yes.
here, it would give you like the most optimal step. So it picks which step to take based on your requirement.
Wow.
So it's very dynamic. So as you see here, like after performing these three steps in the background, it has given me like a weekly competitive pulse on Pipedrive, because I said that I am this AI powered sales CRM founder.
Yeah.
So it has given me everything related to what they do with AI powered sales automation and what did they do recently, like this data security certification. Then it has given me the customer sentiment, like their average rating, which is 4.5 out of 5, with strengths, pain points, and how is the product evolution impact.
Yes.
And based on all of this information, so this product evolution is based on their latest product release. So it scraped the website basically. Then it gives me like a sales enablement package that
That
I
is
can
so
use.
cool.
Thank you. And yeah, so see, it has given me like a table as well.
Wow, that is super comprehensive. It's even providing you with suggestions on how to connect with them or how to like,
Yes,
compete your competitors, right?
yeah, exactly. And it's just right there in front of you. And now okay, I am happy with this output. I just have to say, okay, sounds good. Send me on Slack.
Wow. And then you
So
get the full report on your
yes,
site.
yes, you get it absolutely like in this format, as you see here with this table and nicely written summary on your Slack channel.
Wow. And I can see like there are so many potential use case, right? If you're a sales team trying to figure out how to pitch to a company or an individual even, then you would probably need a workflow like that to streamline your processes.
Absolutely. And so this is, as I already said, like for demo, I'm just restricting to three sub-agents, but you can have like so many different sub-agents included in it. Like for LinkedIn, if you want to, let's say if you are a social media content, tool for social media, LinkedIn, then you can do that with this kind of tool. You can even include funding information, all kind of recent news, or if there is any specific website that you are tracking, say Glassdoor for employee review, you can include that in here.
Wow, that is super cool. And this
And
is
this
now
is,
sent to your Slack account.
yes, so this is how the message would look like as it appears on my Slack account, exactly like it copied everything in a table format. And once I hit on approve, it goes directly to my Slack channel.
Super powerful. Wow, and I wanted to ask you one other thing as well. You mentioned
Yeah.
something about AI agents versus automation, right? So how does a company know when they should be automating something versus, introducing an agent into their workflow?
So to be very transparent here, if I am a business owner, I do not even care if it is an AI agent or an AI automation. All I care about is the output and how it is helping my business. I do not
Mm,
really care of what goes on behind. But from education point of view, AI automation are best for use cases where the processes they remain the same. So let's
mm.
say if you have a very static process like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and it does not change, use AI automation. You can use Zapier, you can use Anytend, you can use Make.com. Make is one of my favorite because it's the easiest to use. Whereas if a process requires it has some sort of, let's say, dynamic nature involved. For example, okay, maybe in this case you can go do this and do this. So something a bit more complex with dynamic steps. Also, if you need memory features, because with simple AI automation, it has no memory. Whereas with this kind of AI agents, you can also include a memory module. So with every conversation, your AI agent remembers, okay, my so this person Pooja wants to talk this way. Pooja like prefers to have the report in this way, and I have to focus on her for her business on specifically this and this parameters. That's when AI agent will come into place.
Wow. Yeah, I think that's very interesting, right? What you mentioned about the memory feature. Even AI remembering your preferences, your style, your
Yeah,
voice can be such a powerful time saver. In the past, without that memory feature, I think AI, when it was just at the beginning, it was very AI like. But now, as we progress, you can see that the tone of voice, style of writing is becoming more and more human and more like the creator themselves, right? I think that's something I've
yeah,
noticed.
yeah, absolutely. And so one of my favorite, like why I prefer ChatGPT is because of this amazing memory feature. So it has now, I do not even have to tell, okay, this is my business or this is my clientele, and it does the work beautifully. I am hoping that they also start introducing this memory feature in other AI tools, for example, Claude or Perplexity has some part of it. But I mean, it's a big, big time saver. It's almost like this personal assistant who knows a lot about you and you can just give the task.
Yeah, and it's so crazy because it knows me so intimately. It knows my style of writing. So even when I just say like, hey, this is not my style, then like I don't even have to give it another example. It just tweaks it to sound more like Audrey. And one day I was like, wow, this is insane. When did it get so good? Yeah.
It is insane, but also, it's kind of scary because it knows so much about you that you feel, okay, where is the privacy part here?
That is also true. And speaking of privacy, right? Thanks for showing this demo. So speaking of privacy,
Good stuff.
what are some perhaps like, concerns or like considerations that businesses should have when it comes to safeguarding your data or how they
Mm,
should be, protecting their company's interests when using all these tools?
yeah. So I think this is one of the biggest sort of concerns that I always get from the business leaders. So first is they are very much concerned about data privacy because they know like whatever data goes on these platforms, it is used to train these models. So that is one thing. Second, like they still do not know where where the data is going, so where it is being
Yes.
stored and so on. So I think few of the things that we should be aware of is I do not recommend my clients, for example, using these AI tools for very sensitive processes like storing employee information, for example, or storing, the financial records, or storing, I don't know, the salary information of the client of their employees, because that's critical, and you do not want that to be in the public.
Yeah.
So you have to be very careful with the kind of use cases you want to deploy. I mean, for example, using something like what I showed you, a competitor research agent is still very sort of low risk because you are not sharing much of personal information. It does not know about your clients and so on. It's just scraping what's available on the public platform and just providing you some recommendations. So it's always being mindful about the use cases where you want to implement AI. And secondly, if let's say you want to use for sensitive business processes, I think then you have to go for this enterprise solution like retrieval augmented generation or RAG solution, which you can implement in on-premise. So it's basically trained on your data, stays on your cloud. So I think that's a safer way to go about it.
Yeah, I think like what you mentioned, if businesses have certain sensitive information they don't want out there, then it's also important to figure out what are the use cases you're comfortable taking risk on, versus use cases that are something you might want to hold back on at this point in time, especially since we are all still figuring out this, part of things. And thanks so much for sharing your insights, Pooja. So what is perhaps, one key piece of advice you would give businesses that are just starting out with AI?
What I would say is always start with your business problems and not with the AI tools or AI models. So start with like simplest way to waste money on AI is to purchase like a lot of subscriptions and then figuring out, okay, where do we want to use it? That's not how it should be. So start with auditing your business processes, identifying the gaps, where you are wasting a lot of time, or it's a very mundane process that your team is losing motivation, for example. Use those insights, and then you start thinking about if you need AI tool, LLM, which LLM, automation, AI agent. So I think that is one of the most efficient ways, in my experience, how you can start thinking about and also implementing AI in a very like positive way, or in a very ROI positive way.
Yeah, I love that word ROI positive way to implement AI. So yes, like what Pooja said, start with the end in mind. Figure out your business use case, then work backwards and figure out what are the tools, processes, or automations you need to get there. And even a question of whether you need AI or not. That is something that you should also consider in this workflow process. And with that,
Yeah.
Pooja, yeah, thank you so much for your time. So where can our listeners find you and who should be reaching out to you?
Thank you so much, Audrey. It was lovely chatting with you. And if your listeners would love to connect with me, then I am on LinkedIn. So just connect with me on LinkedIn. Just find Pooja PowerUp AI. You should be able to find me. And I weekly share 3 to 4 times some very practical insights on LinkedIn. So I think that would be also helpful.
Awesome. And you're currently working with business owners who are looking to transform their businesses, right?
Yes. Yes, I am currently working with, on one side, I'm working with the senior leaders on personal productivity, and then on these medium scale business owners, or say agency owners as well, on how they can even start using AI for their own workflows as well as for the client side.
Definitely. So, if you are a business leader listening to this, whether it's for your own personal growth or for your company's growth, be sure to reach out to Pooja. And thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure having you on the show, Pooja. And thank you guys for
Thank you.
tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to the AI Marketers Playbook and hit the bell for more actionable marketing insights. We'll see you next week. Take care.